to be back at recording. It's still, again, it feels like ages. When did I recorded my last episode? It was like end of, yeah, it's a month again, before I took my flight to Montreal. And today's the 31st October, so happy Halloween. If you listen to it, it will be like already over. Now I upgraded in a tiny bit. I have a mirror just like on the opposite side, so I can actually now see me. Today's episode shouldn't be a long one, but I always say that and then I end up editing for like 4 days, like an episode of 40 minutes or half an hour. I don't have many notes, so today's episode will be a really quick update of like the past 4 weeks. A lot happened, but at the same time not. A few things, but very intense and stressful things happened. And then I will talk about my visions for my new life here. A whole new chapter and a whole new image, I guess. Not image, but a whole new chapter will start. So will the podcast as well. I will definitely adjust the podcast. I will make some changes. And yeah, so that's basically it, what today's episode will be about. And again, I hope I can quickly wrap the whole episode up. So let's jump into it. It is a new setting. It is a new room, a new city. I finally really feel comfortable in. It was already from the start, it was a great room, but it was completely empty, obviously. And now I have everything together. Everything is a whole now. When I first walked in, when I first sent the video of my empty room to my friends, all of them were like, oh my god, it's such an Erna room. Like, it's honestly, it's my dream room. If you think about it, is a room in a shared flat in a big city, and that's the perfect room. Honestly, like, I couldn't be more blessed with not only the room, also with my flatmates. I'm so happy and I'm so glad. I actually don't know how the background noises will be here in a big city, but maybe that will give you a bit of big city vibe. You can't imagine how stressful and painful the last few weeks were, especially the first 2. So again, I had my flight on a Wednesday in the morning, and I was looking to find someone that could potentially drive me to the airport, because obviously I'm moving with, again, everything I own, including my surfboard, again. Obviously overweight, which is, I guess, normally the case if you're on the road for like a few years now and not backpacking anymore. I'm really proud to say that I left Whistler with only 1 suitcase. 1 suitcase, my surfboard, my carry-on, and yeah, to be fair, 2 bags. Or was it 1? I'm actually not sure, but in the end, because I had overweight, which I was aware of, but they were like, we can't, you have to like unpack and repack. Like, it was fine because I checked in really early, so I had like lots of time, and I had to pack everything in those 2 bags. And I was like, in the end, I like arrived Montreal with like, again, 1 suitcase, my surfboard, my carry-on backpack, and I think 2 or 3 bags. I'm actually not sure. Some people might say, yeah, like 3 bags would have been another suitcase. Actually no, because it was still 2 less for another suitcase. But yeah, I'm really proud that everything I own fits in 1 suitcase and 1 carry-on, let's say 2. Yeah, so I was hoping that someone can drop me off at the airport Wednesday morning, which was obviously a lot to ask for. I didn't find someone for Wednesday morning, but for Tuesday evening, which was my manager and my beloved friend. She's great. Again, I think I spoke about her a few times in some episodes. I described her as a friend, but like, she is such a great human, and literally one of like the last people I really met in Whistler. And yeah, I'm really grateful for her, and I really love her. And yeah, yeah, so she dropped me off at the airport and we went for dinner just before, which was really nice. And she dropped me off at the airport around 10. And then, yeah, I had to sleep at the airport, which was actually fine. Checked in at 5 a.m. I had to like repack and stuff. And honestly, I was already completely stiff. I had so much tension in my shoulders and in my neck, in my back. Like, it was insane. My flatmate picked me up from the airport, and honestly, bless his soul, such a great human. I have 3 flatmates, all guys, and I didn't choose it, but I really love it. I really enjoy it, and like every single one of us is so different. It's such a great dynamic, and everyone is like really respectful and really chill, and I love them, all of them, and I don't even know if they actually know how blessed I feel to have them around me and to live my new girl life. My mum said to me the other day, and that's very true, a lot of people see what I have or what I do and they say, oh, she's lucky. But I was lucky through my travels. With coincidences happened and I wasn't homeless or people helped me out, but all in all, I had to go through a lot and I had to carry a lot on my own. And also with like living with other people together, always a living situation, always living in Oslo, never having privacy, never having security, always living on the road as well. And also like job wise, I always worked hard to get what I deserved and what I earned. So if people say I'm lucky, I get your point, but no, not anymore. I deserve that. I deserve that, and I know that, because I recognize that when I was here at work here in Montreal, I only had like a few shifts, but I was walking home with a colleague and we were speaking about things and how I got here, and it was literally the 4th day, and I told him about some things and he was like, oh wow, like you're very lucky. And obviously because we don't know each other that well, I was like, yeah. But honestly, as soon as like he left into like his direction and I left to mine, I was like, you know what? No, actually not. I'm not lucky. I worked fucking hard for every single thing I do have now, because people don't see the backside. People don't see what I went through, or people can't feel what I went through. So believe that everything happens for a reason, and that life works, even if it's a shitty situation, life works in your favor. It's just up to you what you do with it and how you see things, even if it's a negative thing. So yeah, one of my flatmates picked me up and I arrived here. It was around 5. That's also a reason why I booked my flight so early, because I knew he will pick me up and I don't want it to arrive in the middle of the night, which would have been like the other flight. It would have been more convenient for me to leave, but it would have been more effort for him to get me, I thought, because in the middle of the night is a bit of a pain. Okay, I will book the earlier flight to have more pain myself to get there, so that I arrive at a time where it is convenient for him. So I arrived here on the 24th of September, and on the very next day, on the 25th, I went straight to the cafe, to one of the cafes I applied in May. If you remember, I applied, I don't know, at least at 25 cafes and places, and I always like checked in, you know, like I do it. I work for what I want. And only one cafe got back to me. I messaged her, I think a week before I had my flight, saying, oh, I will be in Montreal on the 24th. And I messaged her on the same evening I arrived, and she messaged me back saying, oh, well, she's like in a really unlucky situation right now where she actually can't give me any hours, or not many hours, but she would still love to meet me, which I really appreciated. And like honestly, like hour thing, I ignored that as well. I was like, okay, she still wants to meet me, and I know who I am, and I know that, not that I can convince her other things, because if she can't give me the hours, she can't give me the hours. But I was like, I'm sure we can like find a way, because I'm more than happy to like collect hours, like also not only in the cafe, but like also in the kitchen, or like cleaning after closing. I'm happy to like do several things to get the hours I need. I was still very optimistic. I was like, I'm sure we can make it work, and as soon as we meet each other again and like talk through all the things, we will maybe find a solution. So yeah, on the very next day I went to the cafe and we spoke about it, and as I wasn't quite sure how the whole sponsorship thing works, because in my cafe back in Whistler they would have taken care of everything, like I needed to research everything. So I told her that, and she was like, okay, that's fine, keep me updated on that, but you can like obviously come to your first shift or trial shift basically, because my visa was about to expire on the 15th of October, so I still had 2-3 weeks where I could like legally work. That was Thursday, and then as soon as I got back home I researched, and then I panicked a bit because I wasn't actually sure anymore if I would be able to apply for this close sponsorship, which I should have been able to, but everything I read online was like a bit, not confusing, but I actually wasn't sure. And obviously I don't want to apply to something I'm not too sure if there's actually a possibility, and then I wait and then it gets refused and then I have to leave. Like it was just so stressful. So even on Thursday evening, I booked an appointment with an immigration lawyer on Friday. So please keep in mind how busy I was. And then had my appointment on Friday and spoke with the immigration lawyer and everything was fine, everything was promising. I was able to apply on this visa, but other things, and I was like, oh, that's fine, I can make it work. And then as soon as I left, I was like, oh, I have a few more questions, and I sent him an email. Obviously, as it was Friday afternoon, he already left, and I didn't got any response until Monday. But I had my shifts on like the weekend, and I was like really stressing out a bit. And then I had my another appointment with the immigration lawyer on Tuesday to like clear the rest of my questions, and I got an answer to everything. But again, I was communicating with my employer back and forth all the time, not in like a negative or like bothering way. It was just like we both wanted to make it work and wanted to find solutions, but the fact was that she couldn't offer me the hours I need for like the application, and I can't even apply without the contract. So I would need a signed contract, and everything needs to be approved in those 2 weeks I had left on my visa. I comforted my mind to say, oh, there are people that apply 5 days before their visa expires on other things, and I still have 2 weeks. But I was still stressing out because I felt so much pressure. It was connected with so much uncertainty, also with like actually not really a possibility with my employer right now. It was just really stressful, and then not knowing, okay, what will happen if, because that's a big possibility in the room I have to consider. And then what if I have to leave the country but I can come back, which I knew, but also that would mean I would need to sublet my room. And then you have to imagine my whole room was still empty, which wasn't a problem, but I still didn't have a mattress, which also wouldn't have been a problem. But I thought it would make sense to at least have a mattress for like the person I want to sublet the room for. So I prepared myself for every single case that could happen. I wasn't eating, I wasn't drinking enough water. I definitely know that because I tend to not eat when I'm stressed, and I was definitely a bit more than stressed. There's a lot of uncertainty, and I wasn't afraid, I wasn't scared, but I was like, what if, and what do I do then? Where would I go? Because I had no fucking clue where I would go after. I already, like, when I got to Canada, people asked me, oh yeah, 1 year Canada, and then I was like, I actually don't know. I will figure it out. I will figure it out. And I still didn't. I didn't figure it out during my year in Canada where I would go after. The only thing I know is that I would love to stay. Maybe because I don't know where to go. But I think Montreal is a bit different because I've never been to such a vibrant city than Montreal, and I've been to many places and many cities, and Montreal is definitely one of my favorites. It's so vibrant and artsy and cultural and alive, and yeah, I think it's a really, really special place, a really special city. Also with autumn or fall, depending on from where you are. I think I've never seen such a beautiful fall ever in my life. I don't know if it will be my favorite one, but it's definitely high up right now. It's really beautiful. But yeah, I actually was like surrounded by a lot of uncertainty, but I again had my appointments. I knew what options I have, and I asked him if I would be able to stay in a country as a tourist, just that I can stay in the country, and if I could change on this work permit once I have the signed contract, that I can apply and like upload everything, if that's possible while I'm on a tourist visa. And he said yes. I was like, God bless. That's what I will do, because that will take the pressure out of everything, out of the whole situation, out of like my side, and especially the employer side. And even though my employer, she really wanted to help me, she was like, I really want to help you, but maybe just for yourself to be able to stay in the country, maybe try to find other employers in the time you have left. In some cases I might have done that, but I didn't have the energy anymore to actually do anything. So I was like, I can't, and I don't want to, and especially I don't want to bring anyone in this stressful situation. I feel also, even if I would have found someone, I still would have had this time period where it needed to be approved. So there was just like too much uncertainty for me. So he said it is possible. I was like, okay, done. I will do that. So the whole pressure and the whole uncertainty is out of the room, and I can actually chill, calm down, settle in, focus on everything else I want to do and have to do until I feel ready or like need to work. I will branch out and like ask around or ask my employer for the hours if she has the hours. Just a disclaimer, I say tourist visa just for you to understand it easier, but it is not a tourist visa. So if you're in a similar situation, I would always recommend to book an appointment with an immigration lawyer, because every single situation is unique. It depends from where you're from. It depends if you have if you have 2 passports, which experience you have, which work you have done before here in Canada, or like even in Australia or New Zealand or where else. Literally don't count on what I tell you right now, because it was my unique situation. If you're in a similar situation, if you really want to make sure, book your appointment. It is a lot of money, yes, but you are safe and you have a secured answer. I didn't pay the immigration lawyer to do the things I needed to do. I just like booked a consultation just to ask my questions. So yeah, that's the current situation right now. My work permit expired already. I'm on no visa right now. I don't have a visa at all. The case I was applying for is not a visa. It's just a record that documents that I stayed longer in the country. That's it. and until I get this record or this document, I'm under a maintained status, which means the maintained status is just for the processing time until I get this document. So yeah, that's the case right now. I'm in Canada, but not even a tourist, as a visitor, and that means I'm not allowed to work as soon as I have a signed contract with an employer, and as soon as I uploaded and applied for everything, and as soon as it gets approved, then I can work again. But I have to exit and re-enter Canada to activate this visa, but that's another story. We are too deep into the visa stuff right now, but that's basically the case. I'm a visitor. I'm actually really happy about that, because that's the very first time in ages that I can calm down and chill and sort out my life and sort out some things. So yeah, and I think I needed that. I definitely think I needed that. This whole process in like those 2 weeks, I actually thought, how and why would anyone be willing to help me? Everything felt so surreal. I actually started doubting the whole situation, and not necessarily me, but like the whole situation, because everything felt so surreal. I was like, where am I right now? Like, again, how and why would anyone be willing to help me? Why would anyone be willing to go through the same stress and pain I go through right now? Yeah, but I always listen to my intuition, especially about work. I want to be happy at work, and I definitely always choose my work where I feel good and where I have a good feeling with the employer as well, and that was definitely the case. And also another thing, I think it was meant to be that she messaged me back. She was the only person that messaged me back, and I think that was for a reason. So yeah, during all this walking around and running around and thinking about and uncertainty and immigration appointment and shift here and there, it was not that present. But waking up was a bit hard because I was still sleeping on the air mattress. You wake up in a completely empty room that feels cold because nothing is in there, not knowing what you want to do with your day, but your head is full with like situations and things you actually have to do and have to sort while you have the amount of uncertainty about your visa. So it was a challenge for sure, but one thing that kept me going was definitely my journaling, and I actually lost it again because I didn't have the capacity to do anything. But yeah, I think in those situations it's important to find yourself one thing that is good for you to keep yourself going. Again, to say that I am in Canada as a visitor right now. What am I gonna use this for, and why am I not looking for another employer right now straight away to get on my work permit? I think I really want to use the time I have to stay in Canada as long as I can, also as long as my savings are there. I don't want to rush anything right now. I really want to calm down and actually maybe consider other options I would have, because the work I would be sponsored for would be as assistant manager / barista, which is fine, but I definitely don't see myself doing that long term. So, and I don't think that there's that much for me to learn in those areas. And as you know, like I love to learn, I love to grow, I love to be better every single day. And yeah, I will definitely use this time right now to consider other options or jobs. I would love to work online because I love being creative, I love to expressing myself in that way. But there's the thing of like, I don't have a degree in marketing, I don't have a degree in social media or anything. All of that I taught myself. As a German citizen but living somewhere else, like there's some things. Also, I don't know if I would love to work force someone. I can for sure, but what is important to me is I want more love in this world, and I want to reach people to reflect themselves and like do their inner work, because that's the key to basically everything. But wanting to work online, like that's not the struggle, because I still can have those two things but separate. But as you know, everything I do with my whole heart and my whole soul. So it's important to me that what I do online, I want it to have value and meaning. For example, I don't think I can imagine myself promoting something where people have to pay for, because that wouldn't feel right. That's not what I stand for. Of course, like some things, for example, coffee. You buy your coffee because you want your coffee. If it would be for a cafe doing like their socials or something, that would be fine, because I think that's a really neutral thing. Definitely still give me the option to be creative. That's the thing what I have to think about and figure it out and exchange. It is important to me that it aligns with my values. Obviously, improve my French again. I don't know if I will be too hard on myself, but I still like, I really like, that's one reason I came here. That's actually, I think, the main reason I came here, to like improve my French, to be challenged daily in my daily life. Still working on that. That's definitely also a big point of what I want to use the time for. Finally building up a stable and normal life. That's what I wanted and needed and still do. I think that's exactly what the time now should be for and is for, and what I will use it for. And I'm really happy about that. I'm very disciplined, so I always, not that I keep myself busy because I can't sit in stillness, I can for sure, but just structuring my day and my weeks by myself, because it's not that I like lose track of things. It's not that I end up in my bed watching series 24/7. I definitely have still, even if I don't have things to do, I still find myself things to do, and always have things to do. But I also don't forget to sit in stillness and like give myself the meantime to breathe and to reset. So I think like this time now gives me a lot of new opportunities to work on, to discover. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. I'm really grateful for the situation I'm in right now, and I definitely believe that everything happened for a reason, that she couldn't give me the hours. So yeah, that's what I will use the time for. About the podcast, I think about structuring the podcast a bit differently. Slowly start. It will not like a completely new change. I definitely am definitely motivated to change the podcast a bit, because obviously I had a lot to talk about and vent while I was in Whistler. Yeah, it ended up being like talking about things with my own experiences, which is like nothing wrong about it, but I had the impression that I was like talking too much about my life, which is something I don't want. I don't have problems doing so, but I want the podcast to be something people can relate to and people can use to work on themselves and to reflect things. I thought that I couldn't use the podcast good enough for that. So yeah, that's one change I had in mind, changing the concept a bit. One thing I want to read is a text I wrote when I got here. And the reason I wrote this text, I actually had only one reason. I think that's something people could relate to. I was doubting myself basically, and I really want to share that with you, and that's how I will end up this episode for today. And here I am, telling myself I know who I am and how I am. Or is that not true anymore? Do I just keep repeating that to convince myself? I do know my core, yes, but my extension, I don't even know how to identify myself anymore. That's the case. That's where I'm at. I'm pretty sure that's normal. the transformation or rediscovering stage, I guess, after you lose yourself. But right now, I doubt myself. I'm unsure of what I post. Social media was always an extension of me, a place to be creative, share moments, perceptions and experiences, because that's what I love. What I want to do, need to do, never forced, always joyful. Also, to let my friends and family be part of it, since most of my connections and friendships are based on communication through the phone. I never kept drafts, I just posted them without actually thinking twice. But right now, I'm unsure. Before, it was a mixture of aesthetics, thoughts and emotions, relatable, raw, real, and sometimes random. Now, everything feels random. Somehow still me, but somehow not. Or not what I want to be, not how I want to be perceived. People know me, know who I am, but what about those who don't? I never cared much about other people's social media or what they post, even my own, how it comes across, because that's not how I form my impressions of someone I meet. But right now, I do think about my own, about how it all comes across, about what others might think. And now that I've written it out, I feel lighter. Yes, my posts and stories might be random or awkward right now, but honestly, I'm okay with that, because I know in person I'm so much more. So you can either close your eyes or embrace the awkwardness with me. I think a lot of people feel that way, and I think a lot of people don't express themselves the way they want to express themselves because they think it's weird, or like they think about what other people might think. And I'm blessed to be able to say that I never cared much about what other people think or say, and I just did my things. But even though it seems that I never care about what other people think, I also do have periods or times where I do think about that. I also sometimes have self-doubts, and I'm blessed to say that I always had a very aware and healthy connection with social media. I was never like addicted, or I was never like scrolling for hours or anything. But I also have my periods where I reflect and like ask myself or doubt myself because of social media. But I think it's important to be aware when it happens, and that it happens, and then it's important to write about it or talk about it, to let it out and like have your distance to it, and reflect on that. So yeah, and again, like, what other people think doesn't really matter. You will never know. You will never know, and what you don't know doesn't bother you. And actually, in most cases, the opposite is the case, that people look up to you, that you don't care what other people think because they would love to be like this. So we often think too much about what other people might think or do think. They actually don't think at all, or think something completely different. So the only thing you know is what you think, and it's important to be gentle with that, what you think about yourself, and treat yourself the same way you would treat your best friend. So it's normal to struggle, it's normal to doubt yourself, it's normal to have like low days. The importance lies in how you deal with that and how you turn it into something good. And as I said by the end of the text, either shut your eyes or embrace it with me. So yeah. I completely forgot how cool I look. I love